Greetings everybody, welcome back to the landscape. I apologise for the background noise. I am right next door to a rather fearsome watercourse. Water is something that I absolutely adore as a subject, and if I can combine it with some autumn colour, then so much the better. And as you were seeing there in the B-roll, I found a scene looking up this watercourse with a combination of both. And what I was trying to do was control or limit the amount of water movement, and I was doing it using the in-camera control. So I was actually adjusting the aperture, which then impacted the shutter speed, and I could do the same with exposure compensation, or I could even use ISO if I chose. However, there's one more thing I could use, which is one of these things, which is a neutral density filter, and you can see there it's all completely one color, and if I stick it across the lens, then that will limit the amount of light falling through the lens and into the camera, and the camera will say, all right, I need to keep the shutter open for longer. And I can use this in combination with aperture and all those other things as well. However, I've got one other little piece of wizardry which I've never actually used before, which would also enable me to do the same thing, and I'll just go and find it. And it is this. I'm going to have to bring it closer to the camera so that you can see it. It's made by a company called Nissi. It's a Pro Nano ND Vario. 1 to 5 stops, 0.3 to 1.5. If I just bring it closer to the camera, you can see it's a circular item. There's a little arm here which actually moves independently and rotates a widget. If I just hold it up to the light, hopefully if I move it, you can see it gets darker, and if I move it back, it gets brighter. So what I have here is something that would enable me to directly influence and control how much light falls through the lens and onto the camera sensor, and therefore the shutter speed. So the less light that falls through, the longer the shutter will be open for. Now, sticking it on the lens is no different to doing filters. Let me just take my polarizer off. Being very careful not to drop it in the water. I've done that before. Put that safely away. So I literally stick it on the front, like so. I'll do it through the EVF, and I'll just read out actually what this is doing to the scene. And what I'll do is I'll show you the results. So this claims to be 1 to 5 stops. So at its most opaque, I'm getting a shutter speed of 0.4 seconds. And if I twist it to it being its less opaque, so when it went really, really dark, the shutter speed has now gone up to 4 seconds. And that's just by twisting this. And something I worked out a few minutes ago when I was having a play with this in preparation for this video, something else I discovered. What I've also discovered is that I can screw on, and since there's an 82mm normal filter thread, I can put that on the front as well and still have independent movement of this widget. And what that would enable me to do is put my neutral density grad holder on, so I could use a normal graduated filter in addition to playing with this as well, which is pretty cool. I didn't realize you could do that. So what I'm going to do, no, I will show you on the back of the camera. We're going to go wobbly cam for a moment. Okay, welcome to wobbly cam. So this is the back of the LCD. This is with the ND Vario at its most opaque, so it's most see-through. And if you just watch this number here, which is the shutter speed, I'm going to leave everything else the same. So as it gets darker, it's now a quarter of a second, 0.3 seconds, 0.4 seconds, 0.5 seconds. You can see the shutter speed going up quite dramatically. Now it's now 2 seconds, and that's probably because the cloud cover up above me is lifted slightly, so it's slightly brighter, and now it's 2 seconds. But let me see if I can move around and show the front of it. So we're still on wobbly cam. So you can see here by my finger there's a little dot, and that's currently on 5, and you can see as I move it, I'm now putting 4, 3, 2, and then we're at our minimum, which is 1. It's really, really, I think it's really clever. And this is the first time that I've used it, apart from getting it out the box and having a twiddle to understand how to adjust it. So a little bit of a disclaimer before we go any further. I actually won this in a competition, one of those competitions where you just put your name forward and it gets drawn out of a hat. So I won it about a year ago. I've just not really used it. But coming out here today, I knew I was going to be encountering moving water, so I thought I'll bring it out and I'll have a bit of a play with it. And putting it on the camera here, that is the first time that I put it on the camera and had a play with it. Got to admit, I'm actually quite impressed. Whether I would use it religiously, I don't know, but I'm certainly going to leave it in my kit for now. It comes with a cover which fits over the front like so, just to protect it, and then there's a natty little box with a little neoprene cover into which the whole thing will fit, and then the box snaps shut. And if you wanted another layer of protection, there's even a wee pouch for it all to go in, and it's all completely safe and out of harm's way. The filter I've got, this is a 77mm filter. The lens that I'm using is a 67mm thread, so I've had to use a step down ring. There's enough room in this pouch to actually fit the ring as well, so the whole lot goes together regardless of whether I use this lens. My zoom lens is also a 67mm thread, and my wide angle lens is 77, so one pouch has got everything in it that I would need. I have taken 5 images at each of the 5 settings on this adjustment ring, and I will share those right at the very end so you can have a look for yourself. My verdict, still open. I think I'd need to try it on proper full-on waterfall, or maybe there's one of those situations where I'm just trying to think a lake reflection, where the surface of the lake is just rippling ever so slightly and you want to slow it down. I think I would be tempted to still go with what I know, which is in-camera controls. However, I can see situations where if I was to resort to filters, maybe using this would be quicker than the filter ring and the filter holder and so on and so forth. So I shall keep it in my kit and keep playing with it. And maybe I'll do another video where I actually show using it for a different purpose. But it certainly piqued my curiosity, and definitely something that I will continue to play with. So that's my first time using it. I'm encouraged. Would I recommend it? I don't think I would recommend it. But what I would say is that if you know somebody that's got one, ask if you can borrow it and have a play with it. Because I think it's one of those things, is it worth the investment? I've no idea how much this costs, by the way. I'll have a look on Amazon and I'll put the price of it in a caption. But yeah, I'm not sure whether I would recommend it, but I would recommend having a play with one. Let's leave it at that. Right, I'm going to leave this one here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being patient with me. If you use one and you love it, please leave a comment below as to why. Or if you use something else, it doesn't have to be the Nissi version, it could be another one, then again, let us know in the comments below which one you use and again, why. As usual, please like and subscribe. Your support is very, very gratefully received. And until the next time we're out in the landscape, everybody, please stay well and stay safe. Take good care. See you soon. Cheerio for now.